Mhm.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast for Lightworkers Secret to Success. We have such an amazing being on our show today, and her name is Quisha. And she is just so wonderful. I met her just a couple days ago, and we spent some time together, and we really got to know each other. So, Keisha, I'll let you take it away. Why don't you talk a little bit about yourself? Tell us who you are, what you've been up to, all the amazing things that you've been doing. Go ahead.
Mm. Oh, well, thank you. Before I dive into myself in that respect, I'm curious if you three would also be open just to sending some love through the quantum field for your other teammate who is clearing and dissolving the cancerous cells so that she may fully receive the benefits of us coming together as well, and also the support for her to be able to show up in perfect health as well, if it
Yes,
is for
thank
her
you.
highest good and if she's willing to receive that, of course.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. A simple way that we could do that is I know we're all essentially walking each other home. So, one of the things I love to do is I'm sure you know the Om is powerful. So, three inhales, but instead of just Om, we'll home so that we're sending that vibration home for one another and for her. Okay, so let's just get comfortable, take some breaths. Oh, just kind of wiggle out or shake out anything that has been sitting in the body, just to fully be present to right here in this moment. And if it feels good to you, just to consider when you're inhaling to inhale from below your feet, below from the earth, what it is you need, and out the top of your head, what it is you don't. Okay. And we'll take our first breath in three, two, one, inhaling and exhale to home. Sound as we can descend to our dear sister. See for all others who are on that journey.
Grace, you might need to move the microphone a little bit closer to, yeah, because sometimes it's hard to hear you. Sometimes we hear you perfectly.
Okay, how's this?
That's much better.
All right, there we go. So, thank you for sharing in that amplification for healing together. So, where to begin? Oh, goodness. Let's begin with this beautiful talking feather, eagle feather that I was just gifted from Hopwa. Um, I essentially began to follow my heart as a way of living. I grew up very much just knowing consumerism and going to shopping malls and movies and didn't really know if there was anything outside. And so my opening and awakening started around 2013 when I took a personal professional development course, and the doors started to open that there's leaders and people that are offering and doing amazing projects around the world. Um, and always wanted to be an artist and pursue music, but was very petrified of how to even begin with that.
Mhm.
And so I took these courses for 2 years and then I worked for them for 1 year. And it was very beautiful, powerful training, but it was also very heady. And I went from one end of the
Mm.
spectrum of not analyzing anything, not asking questions, not being one to research or discernment, boundaries, all of that, to the extreme opposite of analyzing everything to the nth degree. And so thus began my journey. And when I finished working there, my physical, mental, emotional, spiritual body that I didn't even know existed at that point were completely drained. And it just nothing was working anymore. And so I had this really beautiful canvas in my bedroom that says, um, something along the lines of follow your heart. This life is your message to the world. Let it be extraordinary. And so
Hmm.
I'd never been in any kind of meditations or anything like that, or prayers was also foreign. I hadn't yet been to a sweat lodge either. And so I just thought, well, I know people do things like mantra. I knew kind of about it. So I said, well, this is going to be my mantra for the next few days. So I sat there and I would just read it, repeat it 3 times, and then eventually I memorized it. And from that point, I just had this huge heart opening and realization that I wanted to follow my heart around the world and inspire others to do the same. And I leapt really quickly to, I want to inspire others, and then wheeled back into, all right, but I guess I got to live it first. So thus began my living nomadically in Vancouver, where I primarily grew up. And so I started offering my talents and my services of professional organizing and other kinds of skills in people's homes, staying on their couches or in their spare rooms. And it never sat well with me that a lot of my skills and talents, when I would express or show them, there was this echo in the city of, well, you got to monetize that. And there was this constant focus on you got to make money off of it. And it just didn't feel good in my gut.
Mhm.
So I started to learn how to live nomadically just around the city and noticing the simple kinds of negative talk, self talk, and negative thoughts about certain areas of Vancouver. Oh, Yaletown is this, or oh, Kitsilano is that, and just judgments and opinions.
Mm.
So the work that I had been doing was the analyzation was really helpful for me to see what was I creating and where did my beliefs come from, why, and not just being a parrot to start repeating things that
Mhm.
I'd heard, whether it's from other travelers talking about places or what have you. Um, so eventually I started to really follow the path of music. And I wanted to live somewhere tropical and just have bathing suits and dresses and walk or bike. And so I moved down to Costa Rica. And so
Great.
the last 8 years, I've been in about 5.5 years. It was my home base, always in different places and spaces. I did have a friend with a beautiful home who shared it with me regularly. So I've been very blessed in that manner to always be received with sanctuary and home everywhere I've roamed. Um, so yeah, that began the journey of focusing more upon music. I started to be a troubadour and sing in restaurants and practice a lot of covers. And I remember I would be so shy just to take up space. And I would say, I love love, so I sing a lot of love songs. And so I would do 3 love songs, pass the hat around, and then eventually got hired. But all along this journey as well, I was taking other kinds of conscious courses, and I was also studying a lot of different healing modalities. And prior to moving to Costa Rica, the 11 months prior, I was brought to my first sweat lodge in Surrey with Old Hands, who's my grandpa, um, and Grandma Alana, his partner. And they both used to run a male and a female lodge every Sunday. And now it's just the male or the co ed lodge that Grandpa runs. So those 11 months before I moved were my first healing for myself, because when I finished working for that company or that enterprise for a year, I had basically no imagination, no body sensations. I had basically kind of just this numb zombie-like nothingness, or maybe a deep anger if triggered to something. So it was a very intensive experience to have, and I just knew that Western medicine also wasn't the answer. And so ayahuasca called to me first, and then cannabis came into my life and helped to start to clear. So I was just following this path, and I would receive the information from different sources at different moments, and essentially just chose that whatever it is I absorb and I learn, my intention was to absorb it and be able to just radiate it and share it via presence. So whether or not we ever speak, just by us coming through, osmosis, we will naturally share. So to simplify, because there's so many teachings, there's so many practices, there's so many ways, and they're all so beautiful and decadent in their own, manners. Um, but for me, what's really felt aligned is how can I reach people, regardless of if we speak the same language or have the same beliefs. And yeah, so that has been um, a big part of my journey, is whatever I receive to share it back. And I spent 9 months in Africa as well. I had no cell phone for about 2.5 years, and then Africa for 9 months, no tech whatsoever on me, so I could learn to listen to my intuition. And so, why I started with this feather also is because feathers have also been one of the ways that I've followed, where I've been called. If I ever have a question, the ancestors will put a feather in front of me, or I will just find them everywhere. And so there's a song that came through once that goes, follow the feathers, continue being light, dance and sing every single day and night. Yeah. So aside from just amalgamating all the information, literally just sharing as much love as I can everywhere I go, whatever love and blessings I have, whether I have physical medicines to share in a form, or whether it's, my presence or a feather that I have in my ear, or nothing material and just, myself. I know that ultimately I am enough. And as much as tools and stones and all of these beautiful toys that we have to experience in the material realm are powerful and beautiful, ultimately our hearts are some of the most powerful energy centers. And so we are enough as we are. And I do my best to listen to the call when spirit calls, and I show up, often not knowing who or what or why or when. But yeah, I've just been so blessed, or not blessed. Yes, I've been very gifted. I'm conscious of this blessed word, as Adam has pointed out to me. So now I'm like, wait, hang on, I need a new word, because I would say infinite blessings upon all that is, but I'm like, I don't want to like be less for people. So here we go. So I guess I'm just ultimately very grateful, because everywhere I go, I have the opportunity to share my heart and be welcomed into the sanctuaries of many people around the world. And not everyone, will welcome anyone and everyone into their home. So I'm met with open hearts, and even hearts that might be closed open very rapidly. So I feel like that is such a gift. And I'm always looking for what is the gift of the moment, and doing my best to release anything that is not serving the highest good, and anything that I can share. And I definitely feel like the past while there was uh, a phase where I've been really needing to rest, because it's been pretty full on 11 years straight of constantly going and moving around like this, and really feeling like I want my own home. And so I created it long ago. I'll just be gifted a home at some point, and it'll be wonderful. And until then, just continuing to know that everywhere I am, I'm also home. So early on, I learned that I live in my heart, and earth is my home. So wherever I go, I treat it as it is my home. And yeah, so that brings us up to, I guess, this moment. And I really love singing. Is really my main singing and dancing medicinal movement. I really love sharing um, in those artistic forms of channeling the divine in that way. So I look forward to doing more of that around the world, and also learning and seeing what doors are opening and how I can be of service in new ways as well. Because there's lots that's wanting to come through, and I've been cocooned for a while and needing to just regenerate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. Sounded like you needed a lot of that grounding from Mother Earth as well, and just being in communion with her, and getting that nurture and everything that she provides for us as well. And I just want to thank you for your contribution, just being here today and being so open and willing to share your path with us. And because I feel like we live a very fast-paced life. And so for you to come in, we feel the calmness, the peacefulness, the just like, hey guys, it's okay to slow down, right? And so it feels good to be in your presence with that calming effect, because my life is pretty crazy. I'm always on the go. So that's why I thought, oh, I needed to sit down in front of my computer so I could give 100% attention to this message that you're going to bring forth today. I know that Adam said you guys did like a fire ceremony today. I would love to hear more about that. And then like how were you guided to do that, or how were you inspired to do that?
Thank you for that question. And yes, I have needed a lot of grounding from Mother Earth. And so my first visit to the coast days ago, I actually slept 2 days, 2 nights by the river in a tent, and was called to offer the land service there. I just want to check. I was hearing some gunshots, just making sure I'm safe.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's just a little bit of sound in the background.
Oh,
I don't know if you can hear it from your end, but I just wanted to
mhm.
be able to answer clearly. So yeah, so I received the grounding, but even in that, I was Spirit was like, bring people together. You know, I thought I would just be on a 3-day vision quest by myself, and Spirit was like, get up, get to the band office, you know, like go. Alas, so I offered the community a fire there, and I went back to Vancouver to drop off some of the supplies and pick up to pick up my feathers and medicine kit, because I knew I needed to come and see Papa and Adam. And so I came back, and as we went through the forest together, Adam was sharing different parts of his journey, and I got a very clear sense of what I was needing to help reset the energetics to, and also cleanse and clear any of the entities and energies, because I've studied a lot of different shamanic pathways and lots of different forms, just as you all have. And so my bundle, I could hear that that was something that was needed. And as Papa was sharing what was going on, so just between the three of us, I could hear that there was an importance for having the assistance of the fire to burn up anything that was no longer serving, and also commune together in unity and hear each other's hearts and set a new way of being together with all of the beautiful elements that we each possess, and also an offering for this land and this home and the spirit that made it available for us to be able to be here in this moment. So that's one of the big reasons why I was called to hold the fire space. And what I did in the morning is I went and I spoke to the nature and the trees, and picked up some sticks that had just fallen recently. That way we're interacting with what is now, here in the now. And I also set the fire in the fireplace in the basement, so that way we can honor the inside of the house and the outside. But the inside wasn't yet permitted to light it, so I've just set it. Yeah, so just moving whatever's ready to move. And we had some music together. Adam played the rattle, and Papa had some percussion sticks that he made up with some wood and another plank of wood. And And we just also got to, embark on having the eagle feather, this talking feather together in this tradition. And when I was offering the fire ceremony up in Davis Bay at Chapman Park is where along the river there, Mission River, I believe, or Mission in that part. One of the things that came through one of the ancient wisdom decks was the talking ceremony or the talking, yeah. So to bring people together and to be able to hear one another out and talk things out, or as I also like to call it, a listening circle. So there's also that hyper focus upon listening as opposed to the talking element. So just a shift of perspective, but that's kind of one of the ways I really love playing with my expressions or avatar or medicine, is just shifting something slightly. So on the website, you'll probably see activate or something where there's an 8 instead of ATE. So those kinds of spellings are intentional just to kind of make sure people are paying attention. And so it brings you into attention because you see something that you'll have to sound out or figure out. And it also is just a playful way to offer a new paradigm of possibility. So I'm constantly like playing around with ways. Yeah, but this fire was really something. We each collected also some offerings from the trees and the plants to bring our energies together and build the fire together. Um, and yeah, it was just a really big blessing. And I've been called to hold fire spaces around the world as I've traveled. So anytime I get the call, I just set it up, and whatever souls are meant to be there are there.
Beautiful. Well, as you're talking, I was getting a vision of an angel and and with a heart, but the heart chakra was very illuminated, and I thought I had a card that showed that picture, and I was like, oh, which one is this? I'm looking as you're talking, and oh yeah, is that a little heart there? Okay, nice, cute. Um, but um, but it was a lot of pink was coming through, and we know that's unconditional love. But as you're talking, I was like, okay, help me find this card I'm looking for. But this other card wanted to come out for you, and is it okay if I read this for you really quick? This is the Archangel Animal Oracle card, and it's the owl. And it says, listen to the messages of the angels. And you're and I was just kind of reading a little bit of this, and I thought it was very beautiful. It just says, this is the card of the wise teacher, and you are being advised to use your knowledge carefully. You are not just imparting information. When you communicate, the energy in your aura is raising the frequency of those you speak to and helping to enlighten them. This is a sacred mission. Start to notice how people are drawn to you and choose your words judiciously because you have more impact than you realize. Be aware that you are clearing and cleansing the energy around you. This means that you need to take care of yourself and rest more. Give yourself time to absorb the messages of the angels. And I just thought that was like the perfect the perfect message for you. And I thought, oh, that's so perfect, because I never know what the message is, but I'm like, okay. And the owls are very wise, and they do a lot of their talking at nighttime, and listening. And so I think that was just a beautiful message for you. And and just as a reminder, and you were just talking about how we communicate and the words that we say are so important, and you are being so impactful by the way you talk. And that it does bring people into awareness and also into a higher vibration and being more in alignment with what you're creating. So thank you for that.
So I can add a little bit to that too. It's kind of funny that the owl card came up because we were literally just talking about the owl just this morning, I believe it was, or last night, I can't remember. So, and we were talking about some different meanings behind the owl,
Oh,
and the one thing, if you ever have an opportunity to meet Quisha, is when most people talk, they don't keep or hold eye contact. But one thing I noticed right away with Quisha is her ability to keep eye contact.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like she's looking at your eyes
Mm-hmm.
or the words that are coming out of her mouth. She's looking at your soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and if you ever get an opportunity to ever experience that with someone, it is so refreshing to have that deep of a connection on just a really light conversation. Right? It can just be the easiest of conversations, and everything just feels at ease. You don't feel jittery. You don't feel like, you got to check your phone, or you just kind of disconnect from that moment as you're having that moment, as you're having that conversation. So
Oh yeah.
that's one
I
thing that I definitely noticed, and definitely feel every time I have an opportunity to talk and to communicate.
Beautiful. So nice. We'll open up. Colette, did you have any questions?
I'm curious about your markings, your facial markings, because Adam said you painted his face as well. I would love to know about that if you have anything to share.
Yes. There is a Siberian sister. It's one of the coldest places where people inhabit Earth. And she grew up learning the ways of her people, and she sings around the world, Snow Raven. And she always has these points across. And for her, she expressed that it's like her way to connect with herself and prepare herself before she goes out into the world. And I'd seen tribal markings before and always felt called in some form. And when I started looking at different shapes and forms, I got some henna because I really like just the ability to shapeshift and depending on how I feel and different things. And so I was just exploring with different forms. And so I saw the Inuit people. I have Eskimo background as well, bloodline. And they do 3 points here, and they were tattooing them just as a way to reclaim that connection to their ancestry and to express that tribalness. And so I started to go to the drum circles and started to do my own markings, and yeah, set those intentions. So for me, it's really based on what I feel. Um, but it's also a way to bring presence to those that I come across as a physical reminder of um, just that tribal energy as well, and a way to really spend time with myself and look in the mirror because it's so powerful. Mirror work. I'm not sure if any of you have done any kinds of mirror work, but it's such a powerful healing tool and just presencing to what's going on and resetting oneself as well. Um, so, yeah, setting up for today is the first time I actually had some kind of spirals that were wanting to come out instead of just more lines. And yeah, it's a way to be creative and have fun and be artistic, but also bring that spirit forward in other ways. Yeah, so thank you for the question. Yeah, and as in terms of Adam's markings and pourquoi, it's really just I like to ask if there's any shapes or any sense that people have, and Adam just said whatever you feel, and so there was a very clear structure of some triangles that wanted to come through, and just also on the other side, just a straight line, and just that asymmetry of having a beautiful, expressive um, spirit, and then also something that is very straightforward and clear in that manner. And so I've had the opportunity to do other markings for people, and it's always very fun. It just depends on what I see or what I feel or what their spirit also is wanting to express in the moment. But I feel like it's also a way on a very simple level, like kids on a playground, just to play, and just to have some fun. Yeah. So, yeah.
Adam, can
So
you share?
cool. Thank you.
Adam, can you show? Okay, you got that side. And then I saw that one.
Yeah.
Okay, there. Oh, wait.
Oh,
Go
you're
back
too
a bit.
close. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so nice. Wow.
Yeah.
And it's tribal, but it's almost like light language at the same time, you know?
Yes.
Asked
Yeah.
him, he said, "Oh, you should put this on me." And I said, "Oh, is it light language?" But
Yeah.
it can be. Can
Mhm.
yeah.
And Amanda, you had mentioned the owl. So I had some Wayusa tea that I was gifted from a sister. Wayusa's found in Ecuador and some other South American countries. And it helps to increase dreams. And last night, I actually, as I was waking or at some point, I had a dream about I was moving either in a vehicle or I was moving, and then I stopped and I had to get out because I saw there was owl feathers. So I saw one and I got out to pick it up, and then I started finding more. And then I
Oh,
found the wing and I found the talons, and someone else was coming to start picking up some and collecting some. And so that's what I recalled also was just, it was like picking up pieces of wisdom and looking for whatever was left behind by the owl. And in my journey a few years ago, when I was going between a peace sharing tour across Canada, but mostly between Ontario and Quebec and back and forth, I I would stop anytime there was an animal on the side of the road and put it onto the grass and say a prayer. But also every now and then I would be gifted some form of an animal. And so once I drove past, but I just had this sense like there was a bird there. And so I turned around, I went back, and it happened to be all the body, everything was gone except for the two full wingspans of an owl,
mm,
its head. And the head was half of it was flattened on the ground, but the other half, the full plumage, all was there in the beak. And it was just the most amazing experience to be, introduced to the owl in that way and to have it with me. And later on, I was gifted a hawk from spirit when I returned to where my great 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 Abenaki grandmother got married to a Frenchman. And I was gifted this hawk. And at some point, I was, what's that body of water in Ontario? Turtle. Oh, goodness. There's an elder that I met. He's a well-known artist. But there was a point in time where I had a Chinese dress with an Indian and Colombian, a Colombian dress and an Indian skirt, and then I had the hawk on my head and the owl on my head and the peacocks from Africa, and so it was this full regalia headdress, like celebratory moment, and there was an image of that. Um, so as you were talking about that owl and I saw that just now, I was just reminded of all of that, in a moment. Mm, mm. And I'm really grateful as well that you're able to be at your computer and get to slow down, because I can only imagine what it's like with the little ones running around and Adam being up here as well. And, I really want to acknowledge also your strength and your courage. And thank you also for choosing to be a mother in this lifetime. It's, yeah.
Sometimes I wonder why. Like, why did I choose that?
Mm,
I've told everyone here my story about that, but I was Pocahontas in a past life, and so
mm,
I was when I first met one of my spirit guides was my father, Native American father, and he was in a cave, and I walked in, and he was um, very stern and stoic, but I felt so safe with him. I wasn't afraid of him. I walked right up to him and I fell into his arms and I cried. I was weeping. I mean, this guided meditation, I was just weeping. And I said, why did I choose to have so many children, like with so many issues and problems? And he said, "Oh, you know, my dear darling, you don't remember." And I said, "What, remember what?" And he said, "You don't remember who you are." And I said, "Who am I?" And he said, oh, and he told me I was a warrior princess, Pocahontas, and I brought a lot of men to battle. And, who else to bring these souls into this life and bring them through the journey they needed to go on to. And so then I cried and I said, oh, but it made me feel so much better. And I think I had that. It was at least, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 years ago, I had that, or 5 or 6 years ago. And I was just like, oh, okay. But he also showed me some other things too. But I still have like a picture of him in my head, his full on, regalia that he had on in that vision. And he is one of my spirit guides. So I always, I'm very thankful that I was able to meet him. And have that connection, because I always had a connection with, it's funny how, sometimes we have like these connections to things and we don't know why. I always loved the name like Pocahontas. I just loved it. And I'm like, I just love that name, right? And even Sacagawea too. I love Sacagawea too. But anyways, and I don't know if there's any correlation between Sacagawea because I haven't gotten there yet, but Pocahontas for sure. And so but anyways, like my daughter, when she was younger, you know, um, she loved Egypt. And I thought, oh, for sure. But she wanted everything Egypt, everything Egyptian. And I'd get her like books and things that she could read about, the people and the culture of Egypt and all of that. And I mean, I know for sure she's had a past life in Egypt. I mean, Adam and I we were a king and queen in Egypt in a past life. We've actually been king and queens in many, many lives together. Um, and so anyways, but it's funny how you can have this innate sense of like, oh, I just love that culture. I love this culture or whatever, right? And growing up, I always loved the Native American culture. I grew up in Seattle, so it's named after Chief Seattle, and lots of Native artwork. I mean, it was just always, I guess I probably just took it for granted because it was just a part of who we were in Seattle. Like it was just always, it was ingrained in us. Um, and so I would ask Adam questions, and I took him to his first powwow a couple years
Oh,
ago. And I was like, do you like this? And he's just like, I love it. I feel the drums in my bones, and I was just like, okay. And I just thought he was kind of being, you know, well, I felt like he was either like being a little over dramatic to make it like, oh, he really liked it for me, but not for himself. And later he said, no, my dad said, that we have native, in my family. And I said, where? And he goes, well, on my dad's side. And I was thinking, okay. And I didn't believe him until last year. And I kept telling him, do you want to do your genealogy? And he's like, no. And I'm like, wow, I love it. Like we could see, like, don't you want to know where you're from? He's like, not really. I'm like, no, tell me. I want to search it. Anyway, so once this all happened, we really got to dig into his culture and where he came from and who his great grandfathers were and great grandmothers and the rich culture behind all of that. And I just think it's so important to, you know, to have a piece of that, and our ancestors coming to help us and, when we call them, then of course. And I have ancestors that come in when I don't call them because they want healing and clearings for themselves. And so, but to be aware of that, right, and to and have that such a gift for us and for our ancestors to be able to be here right now in this moment. I always tell people, you are the answer to your to your ancestors. Like they've been waiting for you to come so that you can heal the whole lineage. So it's such an honor, and I don't want to say that B word, but it's such an honor to be able to be that person for our ancestors as well.
Yeah, I don't know if it's possible and how well the microphone would pick it up, but Quisha does the most amazing drums, and she's done it twice already. And I told her I could literally listen to this for 24 hours straight and like just be in heaven. And honestly, I really mean that. But I just don't know if the microphone would pick it up properly for her to play something really quick.
Yeah, yeah. I know mine doesn't, but I did see that on this there's a settings where it does something's clicked on there where it cuts out like the outside. But even me talking and having the drum right next to me, you guys can't hear it. Like I've tried playing it for my friends so many times. It's like I can't hear it. I'm like, okay.
What I
So
can try is, or I
yeah.
can do. There is no try, there is only do. Ah, ah, I know you know. I'll unplug the headset though, and then way it's just on speaker, and I'll play a few, and then you can tell me if it's worth
Okay.
continuing. How about that?
Sure.
Okay, so I'll go grab Karuna, and I'll be right back.
Adam, while we're waiting for Quisha to come back, why don't you just walked away?
So this is Karuna, and she is 20 pounds.
Wow.
Some really beautiful carvings on her.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
And there's different people and places that I have come across, and so I put their stickers on the inside.
Nice.
So amplify, save the soil is one of the big world movements, as soil is everything for us.
Yeah.
And the health of our soil. So I can play at different levels of intensity. So I'll start soft and just tell me how it resonates. And if it's too hard, I'll go a bit softer, okay? Maybe I can.
Thank you, Quisha. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Quisha. I got to hear most of it. There was some little cutting in and out a little bit, but we got to hear a little bit. So what I could hear was really, really beautiful.
I am curious if there is anything that you both feel to share around twin flame unity.
Yeah, there's a lot. And years ago, Colette, that was just on the call, she had it was like a week-long masterclass, and she would bring on different people each day. And one of the days that I was able to meet with them, worked within my schedule, there was a man on there. His name was Nigel, and he said he was an angel activator. And I just thought, okay, cool, this is cool. And so we're talking, and he's talking about being an angel activator and what that means. And there's other people that are angels. And I was just kind of getting into energy healing at the time. So this is probably, about 6 years ago. And of course, it was just divine because it was literally Nigel, myself, and Colette. We were the only ones that showed up for the masterclass. And he asked me, he said, Amanda, has anyone ever told you you're an angel? I said, oh, well, yeah, all the time. And he goes, how come you don't listen? I said, well, because they're my clients. And, I'm a caregiver for seniors. I have my own caregiving business. So I said, my clients tell me all the time that I'm angels or that I'm an angel. And he goes, I know, but why aren't you listening to them? Why don't you believe them? And I'm like, what? And I'm like, okay. So it opened my awareness. And so after I got the call, I started muscle testing, and like, I am an angel, and I was saying that statement, and when I was muscle testing, I got a yes, and I thought, wow. So okay, so then I started muscle testing all my children and everybody, and they were all angels. And then I got to my one daughter. Her name's Angelina, but she's not an angel. And I thought, what? My only kid is not an angel, and her name is Angelina. So anyway, but she's a fairy. So and but anyway, so long story short, I said that to say this. So we've been doing this program, my friend and I, we've been working hard on this healing program, that a few different healing programs that we put together, and we're getting ready to launch them. And we were talking, and I just got like this divine download that because we were talking about twin flames and that kind of stuff, and how important it is right now for us to be united. And I just got this download that I was a twin flame activator. And I thought, oh my gosh, of course. And it totally makes sense, because after Adam and I really understood our connection, we really didn't know what it meant when we first discovered it or rediscovered it. We had no idea what it meant. And I had never heard the term before. It was downloaded to me. And he's like, oh, I know we're not soulmates and this and that. And I was like, oh yeah, no, we're not soulmates. And I said, well, muscle tested for twin flames. And I had never heard that before. It just came to me as a thought. And then he muscle tested. He goes, yeah, I get a yes. And he goes, what is that? And I said, I have no idea. But after that meeting, my Kundalini energy was activated. And I went on my own self journey for, how long was that, Adam? 18 months for myself? Was it 18 months or so? Yeah, it was very painful. It was a very painful experience for me to go through by myself. And then once Adam understood the connection, then he was like, oh, okay, I get it. I get it now. And then everything I had gone through for 18 months, he was going through, and he's messaging me all the questions I asked him, and I got kind of like these vague answers. He was messaging me now the same exact answer or questions, and I was just giving him like vague answers. And he's just like, wait, no. And he needed to know like all this stuff. And I think his Kundalini energy had awakened. And so, so after I found that out, I had many people reach out to me, and they said, hey, I've been thinking about you. I need to have lunch with you. Okay. So we'd meet and have lunch, and they would say, listen, I was praying, and I prayed to God to bring me somebody to help me. And God told me to reach out to you. And I'm like, okay. And I said, well, what's going on? So they started telling me their story. And of course, it's a twin flame story. And they think that, they can't tell everybody because it just seems, unrealistic, I guess. And, but I totally could understand their struggle and what they're going through. And I said, so God told you to talk to me because I'm the person that can like kind of guide you. So I've had that happen many, many, many times, over the last, I don't know, however many years that we've been on this journey now. And I'm still in contact with those people. People know I'm on a twin flame journey, and I might have people reach out to me and say, "Hey, I know you're on this." One of my good friends, I told her everything, and she didn't judge it, but she just, unless you know for yourself and you're on that journey, you can't understand what we're going through. But then she discovered her twin flame, and then she said, "Oh my gosh, she said, it's not that I didn't believe you. I just didn't understand what you were saying, like the magnitude that all of these emotions and feelings that you had for somebody else. It was, so intense." I said, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." So for Adam and I'm very, very thankful and grateful that he is where he is right this second, because I do have the option of driving up when I get a chance to just meet, even if it's just for dinner, because the kids like to go up, and I'll say, "Oh, you're getting out of school early today. We'll just run up and we'll grab some dinner and we'll come home." And it just gives us that little bit of, freedom. But when I leave, it is like ripping off the Band-Aid all over again. And like this last time I went up and had to come home, I cried the whole morning. And normally I'm not that emotional. I mean, Adam's like, "Gosh, like this girl keeps crying and crying." And it was just an emotional release for me. But it's the heartache of leaving him behind and knowing that I'm going home and he won't be there. It's just so traumatic and heartbreaking. Because Adam's the only person that has ever made me feel safe and protected. And I felt like protected by different partners, but I never felt safe. And safe is a completely different intimacy. And I had never felt that before. Like you know how you bring that calmness? Well, Adam brings that to me because my life is cray cray. So when I'm able to do all the stuff I do all day long and crawl into bed and he's there, I'm able to literally melt into his arms and just be like, "Oh," and he just holds space for me. And that's what I need, because he, you know, him and I both have healed as much as we can at this moment for what each other requires. And so, and I don't want to speak for Adam, but I know I bring emotions out of him that he's never felt before with anybody else. And he's able to do that in a safe space because I can hold space for him, in that moment as well. So, our journey has been, it hasn't been the easiest. And from what I've heard from other people, their journey hasn't been all easy and roses either. So just being on the quest of, okay, why is this happening? And what will it require? And what would it take to get him home? That's the question. That's what we keep asking. Okay. And what's right about the situation that we're not seeing right now? Right. And, the other thing is, if he wasn't where he is now and he was here in Seattle with me, he wouldn't have met you. He wouldn't have met so many other wonderful people along his path. So we're very thankful for all of those things as well. So I don't know, Adam, if you want to share anything.
Well, I can kind of echo the same thing, and for me, it was a little bit different experience. As I'm just trying to think on how to describe it. If when you touch something or someone touches you and they have a very special touch and you get tingling through that touch, imagine that through your entire body when that happens. And for me, it was a lot more intense than I would have ever anticipated. And I have never really connected with someone like with Amanda than anyone before. And what I've noticed is in the past, I might see other women and wonder, how would it be like to be with that person, or because of their outside beauty. And now it's I feel like I don't even have eyes for anyone. I might recognize someone's beauty, but I'm not asking that question. I just know through and through where I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to be with. And um, I shared a little bit on our hike, that I would do anything that needed to be done for Amanda and the kids, and whatever that meant. I just knew that I was on the right path. And I know for Amanda, and I don't like speaking for other people, but she wasn't sure on how I was going to be or react to the kids and the adult kids, and some of the challenges when I initially came through. And she would ask me every once in a while, "Are you sure?" And I said, "Listen, I fully came in with my eyes wide open, and there isn't anything that you can do or anything that can be that is going to shock me. There might be some situations that I am definitely not used to, but I can adapt, and it's not difficult. And when you feel a certain way for someone, it's not a sacrifice. It just is, and it just feels like it's normal, and it's just supposed to be this way. And you're not fighting it, or you're not feeling uncomfortable with it. You're handling the situation, and you're processing it a certain way. And I don't know, I believe that most people in a relationship don't have an opportunity to experience that type of connection. And I'm just grateful that, you know, Amanda held space for me for as long as she did. We were both in relationships at the time, and we both really loved our partners. We both were really there with them. And to make the transition like we did, it definitely was not easy. And, and it's still not easy. We're still not together every day. And that is one of our strongest desires, is to be in that energy with each other every day. So, you know, and the thing is that some people say, well, you're in a fight. For me, it's not a fight at all. It's just, it's just, it's just something that is. And, there's a reason for this happening. And, it's a path that we chose for ourselves for some reason that is unseen to us at this point. But like Amanda said, there are certain people that I probably wouldn't have met. There are certain paths that I probably would not have been down if it wasn't for this opportunity, even though I don't necessarily want to agree to it. I know that it's really helping me grow into something, and there is a connection, and I believe I know what that connection is. And you kind of confirmed it after the fire ceremony, that I have a lot of clarity on what it is, and exactly what was supposed to happen happened in the exact way that it was supposed to happen. And it's something that I've shared with Amanda, and I know she doesn't even know what I'm talking about right now, but it's something that I shared with her. And I just know that it has already happened, and I can already feel that it's happened. And it's like, the best way to describe it is, it's like if you're driving and it's really foggy out, and then all of a sudden the fog lifts and you see everything. That's what it feels like like I was in. I was feeling like I was in a fog. I couldn't see where I was going. You know, I had guides and dragons guiding me, and I kept saying, "Listen, I feel like I'm lost. I feel like I'm not getting the results that I should be getting." And they just said, "Stay the course. Everything is on track. You're heading in the right direction. Just trust." And having that trust sometimes is not easy when there's hardship involved.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. The interview is supposed to be about you, not about me.
I know about us.
So I appreciate you're
Oh
on
yeah,
mute.
you're on
You're on.
mute.
Yes,
So
it is still about me because the twin flame journey is actually one that I really believed in. And I'm using past tense because at a certain point I just kind of left it. I just left this hole. So the fact that you're both on this journey and it's not just hearing about it from some other YouTube video of people that
Yeah.
are, connected somewhere else. So I appreciate you both sharing your perspectives and the different sensations and your different journeys within it because I'm it's definitely a lovely surprise for me um, because it really was something that I was so strongly adamant about that I knew there was one person that when I unite with them, what we can do together is not similar to anything that me and someone else could do. Like there's a bond and a connection that is very unique, and so thank you for reigniting and reminding me and being the living proof that my being needed to, hold the
Yeah.
course of knowing that it is um, worth really believing and a beautiful part of, my constructs and my realities that I choose
Mhm.
and that I care to experience as well. And I stopped believing, as you were both speaking, I was realizing like, yeah, I literally just went like, okay, whatever with that. Like, it's obviously not part of my journey. And, there's been so much around my own heart and partnership. And um, yeah, so um, it's a surprise and it's exciting. And yeah, it's really I know there's a lot that is transpiring just like at the fire ceremony. And actually last night, Adam, when you had mentioned that you have these calls every Monday, I instantly heard, oh, when you explained also that you have this one scheduled and the next one, there was just something right away that went, oh, I'm probably going to be speaking with him tomorrow. Something's going to happen. There's going to cancel. Like, it was like, it's so obvious for my realm. I was like, huh, but I was just curious also. Like, okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, that's why I told Adam because I said, "Oh, did you?" And he's emailing. He's like, "Oh yeah, let me check." And he goes, "Oh shoot, should reschedule." And I said, "Oh, well," I said, "Ask Grace if she can get on." He was like, "Oh, okay, let me go see," because he had told me last night. Like she said she'd like to come on, and I was like, "Beautiful," because we love interviewing people and asking about like their big vision and how do they see themselves in that vision and what do they want to create in this lifetime and how do they want to help other people and what does that look like for them. And we want to showcase other light workers that are doing the work behind the scenes that some people don't get to be showcased. And
well, I think
you know
there's one thing that I would really like to highlight, and that's what Quisha does. And this is so unique. I had never heard this. And I'll let you describe it on exactly what is it called? The Zen Den? Is that what you call it? The Zen Den?
then my den, yes.
My Den. So you explain what that is, and if anyone listening to this would love this, and when I get my house in Whistler and we buy our new house in the Everett Snohomish area,
Mm.
you will definitely be part of this experience for us because I had never heard this before. And I really think that this should be a more common trend for a lot of people. So go ahead, you explain it.
just clearing the house and space, right, Keisha?
Not everyone has had the pleasure yet or benefit of being in a temple.
Mm,
And temples are traditionally charging spaces.
mhm,
um, Traditionally, and Sadhguru is one who really helps people to remember this. It's not to go there and to receive this or that or pray for this or that. It's literally an energetic charging portal. And so I bring that element into whatever space it is, home, office, whatever space I'm brought to, community space. And so I'm listening to everything that is in existence in physical form, and I'm listening to what is no longer in alignment. So
mhm,
essentially, I'm working with the person or people that I'm working with. I'm listening to their hearts, and I'm listening and looking for wherever there's a blockage in their energy stream to, and that can show up in the physical space. It can live in the physical items, and how people relate to their physical space or don't is off, or how they move about it is often also how they're relating to themselves. And so I work on harmonizing, bringing as much harmony to the person via working with them in their space as possible. Some people require more conversation, some people require more play. Everybody needs something different. Some people require, one room being adjusted, or one item that an X or something happened and it's still been in their space. And once they remove it, their whole being starts to relax.
mhm, mhm,
So it's been so fun having this be a part of my experience. I've done professional organizing with an amazing company named In Order to Succeed many years ago in Vancouver. And I'd always been drawn naturally to organizing, even my own space and just bringing order to things as young as daycare when I was younger, when the kids, we'd be playing and then snack time, and the kids would just chuck the toys on the shelf. I remember there were these cardboard bricks, just like you fold them
mhm,
into a brick. And so there's these like, and they just threw them on the shelf. And I started walking when I turned and I looked at it and I was like, mm-mm. And I sat down and took them all off and then was putting them in order. So it's like always been there for me, of just honoring the sacred geometry of the unseen, or, for those who have journeyed with mushrooms or seen through other formats, or just through meditation, where you can see fractals and you can see the sacred geometry, or even in a pine cone, the Fibonacci sequence and the spiral, or on a seashell, whatever form that is, I'm essentially resetting the grid. And
mhm,
so everywhere I go, I do my best to leave that imprint. And a big part of my journey, I really love what you were saying also, Amanda, about what you guys interview, about those who are working behind the scenes, because a lot of my path has been to just show up. And
mhm,
I really, to not fuel the ego. It was never about like sharing a lot of the stories, or, I did this or I did that. It's like, just do it and then forget about it.
mm, yeah.
A lot of grid work, lots of activating grid work in different places and raising the frequency. And I would express it like, and this is how I also see to respond to also, the vision of what you were saying, is that I would see myself like an atomic or a nuclear bomb dropped off in a new location, and I would just explode as much love as I could into it and then move on.
Mhm,
How I see moving forward, I feel like the key to humanity being in harmony together is really the basic knowing that all we're ever doing is sharing. And so,
mhm,
anywhere where we have a blockage of what we're willing to share or not, especially in the realm of money, of you have to earn it or whatever programming we have, it's literally just as much an energy like anything else. But ultimately all we're doing is sharing. And so the Heart Followers Network is a worldwide network of people. And this is one of the projects that's been flowing through my being. I've been very gifted to have these experiences where people share homes, we share resources, and it's like you're couch surfing or Airbnb minus any kind of booking. It's like service has all, spirit has already pre-booked and arranged everything, and the itinerary is all there. So it's literally, and some cultures have this shared within. Some cultures are very well versed at when and if you see a traveler, you take them in and you share the best of what you have, not just the crumbs or what you don't want,
Yeah.
or give them things you don't want.
Yeah.
So for me, I've really been, learning all these different teachings and doing my best to be an embodiment of it, like not so
Yeah.
much the talking. And that's why the serenity of silence has been one of my modalities that I love, because and perhaps it's also been a withholding in a sense also of not knowing, who or where to talk to, or sometimes reaching out in certain directions.
Mm-hmm.
It was more a forcing energy and it wasn't the time to align. And, just like this naturally, organically has happened.
Mm-hmm.
And just honoring my path in that way. But that is what I see, our vision for our golden era is that everybody shares whatever resources, more tangible. For example, people who live within a block of each other, there's only one lawnmower that's needed and everybody cares for it. Every household doesn't need a lawnmower and a weed whacker, so
Yeah.
it's like we have what we have, so how do we work with what we have without making it wrong or bad or this or that? And the most simple medicine is share,
Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't belong to any of us anyways.
Yeah. I can't
Most
take it with us.
Exactly. And the more we share, it's just like, have either of you ever gifted a fabric to someone that you really love, a t-shirt or a dress or pants or a jacket, and then you see it on them and because you love it, but now you're seeing it moving in front of you, you're like, wow, it's a whole nother level of appreciation for it
Mm-hmm.
and practice of non-attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And so how I see um my life is that there's, for me, I have 3 home bases around the world that I can go and incubate within and have my own family time, because I do have that desire to be a mother in this lifetime, and I know there's a baby spirit hovering again. So like to have that self-care where I have homes where I can go and recharge and appreciate myself, but also move around the earth. And, whether I'm moving on a yacht or a plane, one of the ideas is a private plane. And I
Mm-hmm.
know it's just a matter of when I'm on it. But the idea is like the three of us, if we were going to go to Africa, for example, and we're coming from Seattle and we're coming from Vancouver, whatever medicines we can bring from here, we fill that plane full of cedar, full of, whatever it is we can, the medicines here. So everywhere we're going, as much as we have the luxuries, we're also utilizing it to its highest potential to spread medicines, and if we land in Africa, then we bring back, we go during mango season and we bring back, a month worth of mangoes, or
Yeah.
just playing, but also being responsible with the luxuries and the gifts that we have, and spreading it, because I really believe that no one should ever have to pay for medicine. Everything on this planet
Yeah.
is just here,
Yeah.
and so I see a time, and it's been a big journey. I was telling Adam also to learn to live in a way where I respond to the heart before money.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I see a world where money no longer exists, period. And so to navigate during this time where, okay, yes, and it is still in existence at the moment,
Yeah.
times has been, a little bit of a, yeah, just it's kind of like having my head in 2 dimensions at once, where I'm like, yeah, it's totally this, and then being in this
Yeah.
one, it's like, and it's this, and sometimes being like, wait, what do I do though? How do I embody that? How do I, yeah, so it's, yeah. But ultimately, the vision that I also see is any of us who care to want to move around the earth anywhere can.
Yeah.
Any,
Can. And you're not stopped by a border.
yeah, no, I mean, it's all made up, so I
It's all
really do
made up.
see the
It's so
free,
frustrating. Yeah.
can understand that. But I
Yeah.
really see that free flowingness, and just share the beauty and the gifts, and life is one big celebration, because it is. There's no need for any homelessness, any hunger. There's no
Yeah.
need for all of those lower
Mhm.
paradigm experiences in the dualistic way, and
Mm-hmm.
so yeah,
Well, I don't
yeah,
know how much Adam told you about me, but my big vision is, well, our big vision is opening up a holistic healing center, because I want to help people in addiction. And so I have adult children that are in addiction, and I know plant-based medicine is going to be what is needed to help them on their journey. I know they're shamans. I know they're they have a huge purpose here, but they're stuck in that, in that addiction reality right now. So I don't like to think about the what ifs. I just try to just really focus on them getting better, healing, and I have to lead the way. So, if I don't talk to them for a few days or whatever, it's because I'm doing the work necessary for other people to heal. And
What is that word?
huh?
You don't have to.
Oh no, I don't have to. But I feel like that's the wrong word. Like have to. I get to, I get to do these
Choose
healing.
to. Yeah.
But I also feel like I have to. Like I have to. It's like, it's a huge desire for me to help others. And that's why we started this huge,
Like it's a part of your divine blueprint, have
it
to.
is very much
So
so.
it's not so much a have to, it's what you've chosen. And so
Yeah.
it sounds like it's more like you're honoring what you've chosen or given your word to.
Yeah, yeah. And I had my daughter, she's here with me, and I had her read my chapter. I'm a co-author in a book, and it's actually a channeled message through Shakti and through my higher self, Lady Faith. And they brought me into the conversation. And but it's channeled. So when people ask me about it, I don't always know what the chapter is about. But I had my daughter read it last night, and she goes, "Mom, it's about fentanyl." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Can you read it?" And so it's just a few pages. So she read it, and she closed it. And I said, "So what did you think?" She goes, "That's good." And I said, "Well, is it true?" Because what was shown to me, what was channeled through, because I asked Adam, I said, "What is this about fentanyl? Like, I don't understand." And he goes, "Well, the polarity of two things." The polarity of two things. So like we see there has to be some good that comes from the fentanyl, because we see the opposite, like the destruction and all of that, right? So that was kind of my going into writing that book. I was thinking, well, okay, then what is good about it? Show us what's good about it. And so what was good about it was when people use fentanyl, they are instantly connected to source. They're and they don't get to feel that unconditional love here on earth like we do when we're with source, with our creator. And so they have that unconditional love that they don't receive here on earth. And it's like, oh. So like as a mom, it's like, okay, I get it. I get why they would want to feel that. But I told my daughter last night, I said, I understand it. I said, however, we chose to be here at this now moment, and we chose to be here and to be present because we are part of the creator and the experience. And so I'm trying to think what else I told her. And I said, and we can't escape from that. We have a divine purpose here, and that's what we're meant to do. And so I just left it at that. I didn't say anything else, but I did like the confirmation that I got that, yes, that is true. Yeah. So she's
And I
sober.
think there's one part that you didn't highlight that well. And, when you were like, going through that, and what I had said was, we all have a point of view that fentanyl is bad.
Mhm.
And, this comes to the law of relativity. Everything is relative because it has to have an opposite.
Mhm.
So therefore, if we're viewing it as bad, what is the opposite? Because it can only exist if there is something good with it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that we have a hard time seeing,
Mhm.
right? And that was the message that I gave. And then you went into that channel and you did that writing that you did in the book. So I just wanted to really highlight that because I think that was the thing that got you unstuck and
Mhm.
allowed you to see it on a different point of view.
Mhm. Well, that's what I was talking about, the polarity of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And asking you, so yeah. So yeah, so that is my divine purpose is opening up, but I need what I would desire is to have a lot of healing modalities there, like a sweat lodge and like cold plunges and like all these what they call alternative, healing modalities that we just think is like, oh my gosh, is so good for our bodies and soul. But really healing people, mind, body, and soul so that they can, choose something different and they can choose to maybe, expand on their journey and to give back.
We are coming up on the 2 hour mark, and so I think you've got some cards that you maybe want to pull. Am I reading that right?
Yes.
Okay, and then after the card reading, we'll wrap it up, and we will put everything in there. So
Cosmic dancer.
Oh, Cosmic Dancer. I just want to say before I pull the card, as you were both sharing, one of the things that clicked in for me in relationships as well is, and I've witnessed recently, for me, is that in seeing the old pattern of if something challenging came up and that old way of wanting to run away and not knowing how to just communicate what was alive or what I'm feeling or what's happening, there is that the beauty in what you were saying, Adam, as there, I was able to also relate that too in relationship. Even if it might be challenging for me, I can also see and hear how there's something going on for my partner
Mhm.
that is helpful for the continued growth of us as a unit. And so that's something that just clicked, which I feel can help harmonize many relationships, especially if one is stuck. And I have lived a lot of the experience of being all about me, not intentionally selfish, just not aware also of different constructs of how to perceive what's actually happening and how to work with the energies with a partner, and so the way that you both are able to express both of your sides, it really has also helped to soften, my own inner standing and overstanding of partnership as well. Because you have such a beautiful harmony between the two of you and the way you both express and hold space for one another in the short moments that I've been able to see you both. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. And I have a feeling that this is also going to be a co-creative deck pull. But along the lines of a healing center, I know that a part of my journey will be being invited into different resort centers and retreat centers
Mhm.
around, but also that one of the offerings on the site is called the Presence. And it starts off with Quisha is a living retreat. And so going
Great.
into a space with the Zen My
Yeah.
Den, it's
Yeah.
like bringing that whole resort into people's home.
Yeah.
Essentially. Well,
Yeah.
so are we going to do a spread across the arm or are we going to do a fan? I think the arm.
sure.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay. And are we going to have Adam jump through the screen and pick a card, or are we going to hover and you're going to tell me what are we going to do here?
You hover and you pick.
Okay.
You feel which one is the right one for us.
All right. Come back to center.
Mm, interesting.
Mhm. I feel like that's we've stretched out and expanded in quite a few directions, so this will be a nice way to bring us in again. We are being urged to draw inward, to align with our deep inner compass, and to come into harmony with the energy of the earth. The answer to our questions do not lie in the realm of the senses or words, but the center of stillness and silence. When we take a moment to drop into the depths of ourselves, we will find it. Everyone has his or her own unique center point of consciousness where they reside at the eye of infinity. Indeed, you are at the true center of all that is. From you, infinity extends forever in all directions, including all courses of time. Equally, just as you possess and radiate infinity, you contain within you the dissolution and ending of all that was, is, or will ever be. Time is a cycle and a circle, and everything contains its opposite: order and chaos, stillness and action, silence and sound. In other words, we are a droplet of the ocean of all wisdom, and as such, all wisdom is within us now. Still our minds and ground our energies. Be present with the vast, wordless knowing that lies within our center. The womb space is a microcosm, an actual representation of infinity. It is a doorway from nothingness into being, and from being into nothing. Whether you have a womb or not, you were born from one. So you have a profoundly intimate relationship with this fertile place of silent darkness. We are now being called to step into ourself. We are now being called to steep ourselves in its vast, quiet knowing. At this moment, place your hand on your womb space, or send yourself back to the time when you resided within one. Close your eyes. Relax deeply. Relieve your mind of the need to do or figure out, and instead simply be. When we tune into this womb energy regularly, we reside in our infinite nature, and everything in our life comes into much greater harmony and balance than ever before. To anchor this message in your body, do balancing yoga poses such as tree or eagle pose. Otherwise, take some deep breaths, lift your arms over your head, and balance on your tippy toes for as long as you can. You will also find it helpful to connect with the energy of the earth by walking barefoot outside, or simply acknowledging the pull of gravity as a constant harmonizing anchor. Also, be sure to nourish yourself, body, mind, and spirit in the ways that will most help you come into harmony with your moon or menstrual or menopausal changes. To channel this message into your dance, engage in belly dance or focus on your womb area as you dance, and let your actions emanate from the infinite grounded wisdom that resides there.
Thank you. I think that was the perfect card.
Thank you both so much for all that you have done for so many, and all that you continue to do, and for the gift of sharing presence with you, and the honor of getting to speak with you both. I really appreciate this moment.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for being here. It was such an honor, and we thank you. All right.
Those of you watching, if you would please like and subscribe to our channel. If you feel so in tune to share this video with anyone else, please feel free to do so. In the comments, you will have ways to reach with Quisha through her website, and also email address will be available. If you want to do Zen My Den, I would highly recommend it. And I really appreciate you, and thank you for watching Lightworkers Secret to Success. Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.
Take care.